I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 5, and we'll focus on verses 1 through 4. As the crowd was pressing in on Jesus to hear God's word, he was standing by the Lake of Galilee, and he saw two of the boats at the edge of the lake, and the fishermen had left them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats and asked him if he would push out from the land a little. And then he sat down and was teaching the crowds from the boat. You know, many people believe that when Jesus called his disciples, he simply said, "Follow me," and then they left everything as if they were zombies or something. But in Luke chapter 5, we're given some insight into 5, I think, types of tests that the Messiah gave to his followers before calling them. The first test is a bias for action test. You see, Jesus had a need, and Simon Peter was naturally inclined to solve problems. And Peter had a bias for action. Look at what it says here in verses 4 and 5. And when he had finished speaking, Jesus said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch." "Master," Simon replied, "we've been working hard all night and we caught nothing. But at your word, I'll let down the nets." You know, the second test is a "because you say so, I will do it" test. Even though Peter was the so-called expert at fishing, he submitted to the Lord's direction because it was the Lord who was speaking to him. Look at what it says here. He says, "When they did this, they caught such a great number of fish, and their nets began to tear. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and to help them. And they came and they filled both boats so that they began to sink. And when Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, 'Go away from me, because I am a sinful man, O Lord.'" That's Luke chapter 5, verses 6 through 8. You see, the third test was the "who deserves the credit" test. While Peter was a master fisherman, I'm sure, he knew only the Lord could have provided such a haul. Look here at Luke chapter 5, verse 10. He says, "Don't be afraid," Jesus told Simon. "From now on, you'll be catching people. You'll be fishing for men." You see, the fourth test was a grander vision test. Jesus was replacing their worldly goals with kingdom ones. And then, of course, we see this. "And then they brought the boats to the land, and they left everything and followed him." Luke chapter 5, verse 11. You see, the fifth test is perhaps the most important. The fifth test was the "will you leave it" test. So based on all that they had experienced with Jesus, they believed in the grander vision, and they left everything to follow Jesus. Do you have a bias for action? Do you have an attitude that says, "Lord, because you say so, I'll do it"? When there's ministry success, do you know who deserves the credit because it's the Lord and not us? Do you get the greater vision that this is all about seeing people come to know Jesus in a saving way? And would you be willing to leave it all? How do you rate regarding Jesus' job interview? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at www.groundworksministries.com.